And sometimes you don't know how much you've changed until you're forced to go back and be an old version of yourself. Kind of like when you go back to when you go to college and you come back to your old hometown that you've imagined to be a little different. You go to a football game and you're like, whoa, this is not the same. And it's not them that's changed, it's you. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD podcast. Very introspective episode. I had to go back to clinic 5 days a week for 2 weeks straight. What did I learn? What did I find out? We have the closing thought of the episode. This is the Ultimate OD podcast. Here we go. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD podcast. Thank you for the likes, the listens, the emails. I will ask you, if you follow us, if you listen to the podcast, please like and subscribe. Give us a review. We haven't got a lot of reviews in a while, and we like to grow and expand. So anything you can do to help us out, we do appreciate. As I've said, the podcast is a selfish intent. I do this so I can help think about where I want to go, what I'm going through, how to be better at life, at being an optometrist. And I hope through my introspection, the words of wisdom that I give you, the thoughts and podcast episodes, that you get better as well. It's been really cool to think that I've been doing this for about 6 years now, and the evolution that I've went through, you can listen to the podcast and see it start happening and going. And it's really cool what I realized this week. So let's break it down. For the past 2 weeks, my new associate got married and's been out. So as a result, I've had to go back to clinic 5 days a week. And it's been, goodness, about 2 years since I've been in clinic that much. Even when we added the new doctor, I didn't work Fridays. Right? I didn't know what to do with myself. Yep. Even when I added the first doctor in 24, I worked Thursdays. I tried to take those off, but I didn't work Fridays. Now, I didn't know what to do with myself. That was an effort, but I figured it out. But by the new doctor, so doctor number 3 being out, something really interesting happened. I crushed it, right? I did really good. Most productive doctor. Patients were excited to see me. My schedule was full. Like, I opened up the schedule, and instead of it being pushed out or, gaps in the schedule, my schedule was full. Patients were taken care of. We generated revenue. If you take the metrics I used to measure myself for the past few years, winning, right? The problem is probably the most unfulfilling 2 weeks since I've opened up the new location. It really reminded me what I felt for the first 10, 12 years of my career. It's weird because I was succeeding at a job that I realized I didn't want anymore. Isn't that nuts? And I forgot that feeling, the stagnancy, the just lack of purpose, right? And that's where I was when I decided to make the jump to move to the new location, hire an associate, and hire a second associate. And this was really valuable for me. If you've been listening to the episode or the episodes, you know that I've spent the past few years thinking about going from doctor owner to CEO. And the questions that I've been talking to you about is, am I moving away from clinic too quickly? Should I preserve my Wednesdays? Am I going to miss patient care? Will I lose my credibility as a doctor? Is that something that I'm latched onto? That's my identity. Am I just, impressed with the idea of being a CEO, working on the business? Or am I just being lazy? What if I accidentally take away that time, hire a new doctor, and I miss clinic? What do I do then? Well, life has a way of making this apparent for you. And I got back to the clinic. I saw what happened. I didn't leave clinic every single day thinking, man, I miss those days. I'd have another patient come in and sit in the chair, and I'd have to force myself to turn it on to go into the exam room because it's not where I wanted to be. And I really thought this is why I've changed my role with intention the past 2 years because of how I felt right then. And sometimes you don't know how much you've changed until you're forced to go back and be an old version of yourself. Kind of like when you go back to when you go to college and you come back to your old hometown that you've imagined to be a little different. You go to a football game and you're like, whoa, this is not the same. And it's not them that's changed, it's you. It's a weird feeling. And remember, the biggest question that I've been fighting with is, do I preserve Wednesdays? Like, I know I'm going to work Monday and Tuesday. I'm pretty committed to that. I like working those 2 days. I like being attached to the clinic. But I'll tell you now, I know if I didn't work those Mondays and Tuesdays, I'd be okay. But my effort, my desire to preserve those Wednesdays, right? I'm booked out into 2027. Patients want to see me. I'm still the best producer. And psychologically, there's safety in seeing the patients Wednesday. But after these past 2 weeks, it really challenged my assumption of why I wanted to be there, what my purpose was in the practice. And the question that I'm asking myself is, can I justify working Wednesday? Well, yes, absolutely you can. I'm productive, there's demand, I produce revenue. But the real question I had to ask myself is seeing patients Wednesday the highest value use of my time? And it became really apparent that the things that I wanted to work on, the higher value things that don't directly show revenue, is where I wanted to be, what I want to be doing. And that's the problem with being good at something. Most doctors that start a practice and hire associates will be the highest producing doctor. No one loves the baby as much as you, right? But being good at something is a trap in itself. We usually think that our weaknesses are what hold us back. But in this case, when I look at myself and I look at other doctors, it's my strengths that's kind of holding me back. I'm productive as a clinician. I know the other doctors I talk to that are the, the primary doctors at their office, they're good at what they do. It's how you built your practice, right? There's a different mindset that you have about everything because you built it from nothing. You know what it's like to not have patience. You know what it's like to not have revenue. You still value every single patient, where someone coming in expects there to be a schedule, expects a paycheck, expects there to be support. And you know how much of a luxury that is. Just a different feeling, different mentality. And the problem is, it's so tangible. You work, you see patients, you get revenue. But when you're working on the business, you're coaching doctors, developing your managers, improving a system, reviewing metrics, developing the dry eye specialty, that doesn't produce revenue that working on Wednesday does. Like, I looked at my revenue per day for the past year, and I'm like $7,000 to $8,000 a day. Is the things I'm going to work on going to produce that $7,000 to $8,000? Well, not directly, not immediately, right? And that's the thing about being the CEO of your practice. Being a doctor gives you immediate feedback. Being the CEO is delayed. Could be 12 months down the road till you see the fruits of your labor. That's hard. And the problem is, the easiest work to measure isn't always the most valuable. Think about that. Why do we justify being in clinic? Because we get a report card the moment you're done. I saw this many patients and I produced this much revenue. The year end or the year mission to lower your exam only rate isn't going to give you the same juice or same feedback. But a year later, when everyone's doing better, everyone's happier about what they're doing, better patient experience, doctors are all producing better, that's way more than $7,000 to $8,000, right? But it's harder to measure. And that made me wonder to myself, how much clinic can I give up without hurting the practice? When in all reality, the question I should be asking myself as I've, thought about this is, how much clinic should I keep without hurting what I'm trying to build? I have a 10-year vision for where I want to go. And is me actually being in clinic a hindrance to that vision? And remember, I'm not trying to retire. I still want to show up and work every day. It's just, I'm trying to do things that give me more energy, more juice. And don't get this twisted, because I don't want this episode to be the let's just do what makes you happy episode, because there's a lot of stuff I don't like doing. Like, I have an office meeting coming up this week, and I have to plan that. I have to prepare that. The amount of effort and energy that goes into that is tough. And then you have to implement it and make it happen, which is even harder. Like, one, the meeting; two, making sure you follow through with it and that you implement the changes you're trying to do. Hard conversations that you have to have, reviewing numbers, making sure everyone's up to the standard, making unpopular decisions about people that you like because it's better for the business. Having some people that you really enjoy working with realize that they're not the best fit for where you want to go, right? Not all this stuff that gives me juice and energy is fun, but there's a purpose behind it. It's what I'm trying to build. So that juice and energy comment is more of a data set. I was really good at seeing patients, low overhead, making a great living when I had just 1,600 square feet, 4 employees, and I was all by myself. Really easy life, but I was very unfulfilled. I didn't wake up every day excited to go to work. Fast forward to now, and I know what I enjoy, right? So ask yourself these questions, like, what gives you energy? What work are you naturally curious about? What are you scrolling about to try and to be better at? What problems do you enjoy solving? What conversations could you have for hours with your manager or with other colleagues, other doctors, other business owners? And then what work are you still doing just because you're good at it? Right? That's a CEO mindset, right? What are you doing because you haven't found someone to replace you yet? So you're a slave to that role. And I think this comes back to some of the things I've been talking about for the past few weeks is, what is your purpose? I've been asking my technicians, asking the doctors, asking the front desk, asking you guys, what's your purpose? What do you want to do? And when I look at that, I ask myself the same thing. And 10 years ago, my purpose was deliver exceptional patient care, build a great practice. Right now, build an organization, build a business that produces amazing doctors, great leaders, and a place where staff wants to work. That's what my purpose is. It's not that we don't want to have great patient care. It's just my role in that patient care has changed. It's expanded. And just because you're capable of doing it doesn't mean you can't evolve. I was talking to a business owner who I really love and respect. He's a good guy. I've seen him for years and sold his big business, and talking to him about the identity that he had and where he's at now that he sold it and what he's doing. And I was sharing how my identity was caught up in being the highest producer. But in all reality, it's a lot harder to get other people around you to produce like you do. That's hard to do. People are looking for other people that can make the team around them better. Those are the highest paid managers, the sought after owners, the people that are giving, the TED Talks and the, keynote speeches at conferences. But it doesn't give you the juice that you get when you are doing 1.5 million by yourself. It's a different mindset. And that's what purpose does. What you have to realize in that situation is that when you start getting other people around you to be better, is that compounds, that multiplies. When you are doing it yourself, it's a linear progression and you'll hit a limit. But if you can make those around you better, not only is one doctor being better, it's 3 doctors that are better. As I improved systems to help my first associate, I got better. It made the second doctor coming in that much more productive than when the first doctor joined. So now we're already getting to scale at a quicker pace, right? I'm 2 years in, but that work happened a while ago. But you see how it's multiplying, how we're growing at a frenetic pace because of the work I did a few years ago. That's CEO work. That's building a business. Now, don't get me wrong. I had 2 weeks where I went back to clinic. I'm not done with patient care. I'm never seeing a patient again. I just know what I'm building and I'm going to work towards that. I'm going to transition to that. I need to develop the doctor I just hired. I need to make sure the economics work. My leadership team needs to develop. All of these things have to happen, but I know now with more certainty than ever that this is the path I want to go. And that's the trajectory I'm on. My next few years, build towards 3 associates, develop doctors, strengthen my systems, try to get to that $3 million goal. But long term, second location, local managers, GMs of multiple offices, and me just being the CEO. That's what this 2 weeks embedded in my vision for my future. What a gift that was. So I want you guys as owners to just think about this. Imagine that I wave a wand and you have to go back to 3 years ago and you were doing what you're doing 3 years ago. Would you be excited, relieved, miserable? What would you miss about the role that you're in right now? That tells you something, right? That kind of gives you a sense of, all right, I'm going in the right direction. Or, you know what? The direction I'm going in wasn't as good as where I was at. You can pivot. It's okay to admit you've made a mistake. The sunk cost fallacy doesn't have to be the end of the journey. Like you bought a bunch of dry eye equipment. You don't like dry eye. I get it. It happens. That's not my journey, thankfully, right now. But I'll tell you, I bought an axial link thing for myopia management. I bought a bunch of scleral lens fitting sets. I bought a Medmont topographer. That's gone. Right? I've made mistakes too along the way, and I've pivoted and went to where my passion's at, and it's with more of a purpose now because I have a vision for where I want to go. I was just searching for a little bit there. Are you searching? It's okay to say, hey, that wasn't the right move. Just don't make the same mistake twice. Make your next move have a vision behind it. So let me summarize this up. I was given a gift by having to go back to clinic. Right? I don't regret doing that. It's what the business needed. Someone has to cover. That's what being the owner is, right? You have to do this. And even when I'm the CEO, there's going to be some situation that's going to force me back into clinic. But I now know that I don't need to keep proving to anyone at all that I can produce because I know I can, right? I don't have to question if patients want to see me because they do and they will. And I don't have to just abandon clinic right away. But I do know that what I'm working towards is building something bigger than being in clinic. My ego and identity that I tied to being a clinician is starting to, I broke through that mold. I've chipped away at it and I don't know how. Maybe it's because I do this podcast every single week and try to talk about being the CEO of my practice and it's starting to take hold. But 6 months to a year ago, if you would have asked me what I want to do, I want to be the best dry eye doctor around. I want people to seek me out to hear how to treat dry eye, how to start a dry eye clinic. And now I sit here and tell you that I don't care at all about that recognition or being that doctor. I still think I'm good at it. I think I can help a lot of other doctors out, and I will. But I'd rather go into a P3 meeting, put my numbers out there, show my system to all the other doctors there, and have them say, man, you run a really great business. That gives me more energy than being an awesome clinician. Not that I'm not going to try to be the best I can be, but my focus and my identity has changed so much. And sometimes you have to realize that growth isn't about becoming better at what you already do. It's having the courage to redirect your strength and energy toward what you want to become. And that's scary because it's unknown. But I'll tell you, from where I sit right now, it looks pretty appealing. It's a pretty cool place to be. Seeing something out there and saying, I want that, having the courage and determination to chase it, and then getting closer and closer and realizing it's better than you thought it was. Cool feeling. I hope you get that in your practice. So as we end this episode, the thing I want to ask you to ask yourselves is, looking back 3 years ago, what do you enjoy doing now? Or what do you wish you still had? Right? It could go either way. I'm not saying that where you're at now is better. But if it's not where you want to be, if you're not improved, you don't have that juice and energy, pivot right now. Make the change. Don't keep going down the path if it doesn't line up with your vision for your life for the future. That's what I got for you. We'll have more next week. Where has the time gone? We are to the closing thought of the episode, and today I will leave you with this. Tim Ferriss got an email from a coach, Sumner, I believe. He might have been a gymnastics coach or something like that. But he reposted this recently, and I read it, and I'll leave you with the last little bit. And I think it's very relevant to what I'm trying to do, and hopefully it's relevant to what you're trying to build. He said, throw out a timeline. It will take what it takes. If the commitment is to a long-term goal and not to a series of smaller intermediate goals, then only one decision needs to be made and adhered to. Clear, simple, straightforward. Much easier to maintain than having to make small decision after small decision to stay the course when dealing with each step along the way. This provides far too many opportunities to inadvertently drift from your chosen goal. The single decision is one of the most powerful tools in the toolbox. And essentially, he says, the secret is to show up, do the work, and go home. A blue-collar work ethic married to indomitable will. It is literally that simple. Nothing interferes. Nothing can sway you from your purpose. Once the decision is made, simply refuse to budge, refuse to compromise. You just have to have that vision. Like, I guess that's the thing that I will tell anyone and everyone starting a business, trying to start a dry eye clinic, trying to do something bigger than where they're at right now, is have a vision and work towards that. See where you want to go and make every decision with that in mind. Kind of what I've been doing. Listen to the podcast over 2 years, and I'm getting closer to it. And I am different now than I was, and I can recognize that change, and I value that so much. I don't want to go back. I'm a different person now. The thought of having to go to clinic every single day and see patients, right now, honestly, I think I could do 1.6, 1.7 million by myself, 5 days a week. Don't want that life. Don't want that right now. I think I can do something bigger, more fulfilling, and make those around me better, have a better business that serves more people. That's my vision. That's what I have for you. Dr. Lily